This is an open letter to my uncle, Uncle Sam. I love him to death. Here's the thing, Uncle Sam. 9/11, horrendous act, awful act. Oof. It was a primitive act of, I don't know, act of what? Somebody who does that is an act of revenge. Revenge for what? Here's the question, sir, my dear friends. 9/11 was a criminal act. It should have been investigated as a criminal act. Naming a culprit leader on the second day, or pretty much on the same day, his name of the leader of these motherfuckers, and pointing putting a bullseye on one person. Putting a bullseye on one person is very convenient. That was Osama bin Laden, let's say. It's very convenient to paint a bullseye on one person and say, he's the problem. On the second day, what was this a criminal investigation? Here's what I'm saying, folks, by criminal investigation. Because 15 of the 19 were Saudi citizens of the 9/11 folks. 15 of the 19. That makes it like 90% of them around there. 15 of 19, I guess. About 70 or 80% of them were from Saudi Arabia, citizens of Saudi Arabia. I don't care the leader says what. When 80% of these folks were from Saudi Arabia, shouldn't this be a criminal matter of finding out what environment produced these folks? What environment is producing these folks? And who are they? Who are their families? What is their way of thinking? Why they think this way? Why they are so upset? I'm sure the guy one of these participants of 9/11, probably his family knew something about what the fuck was going on in his brain, and what was his what his objection to the situation. Here's the thing, folks. Me and many other people, I can only speak for myself. We love empires, but as long as sane people are in charge of the empire, everything is fine. But the sanity has to be kept there, because I think if it was Al Gore, he would have said, okay, a criminal investigation, a cultural investigation, an international investigation of finding out why the people from that area of the world, that's Arabian Peninsula, hate us so much. And please say, how bad the education system has to be for people to accept the answer to the question of why do they hate us. Those who accept, which seems to be the majority, have accepted that the answer to this question is because they hate our freedom. Fuck no. I'm pretty sure that's not the answer. Because you can name other countries that are much freer than Uncle Sam's territories. Northern Europe is much more relaxed regarding drinking and having fun and much more relaxed. Prostitution and drugs, and they're much more relaxed. So if they're the real freedom, if the answer to this, if the simplistic answer to this question of why they did this because they hate our freedom, they would have, hit fucking Sweden, because they're much more freer, or Denmark, Belgium, that area of, Europe, just very relaxed, much more freedom. But they don't bother with them. They don't care. You don't hear of anybody hating the Belgians or the. You don't hear that because they're doing their thing and those guys are doing their thing. Who cares what the other guy is doing in his own house? So this is what I'm saying. This should have been. So it's not. The answer is not they hate our freedom. That's very simplistic. They're freer countries. They would have attacked them. So the answer is not that. Now that the answer is not that, you open a criminal investigation with 100 FBI agents and 200, regional investigators, all putting the data in and finding out, okay, why Saudi Arabia citizens hate us. Let's go investigate, gather some data to find out, okay, what's going on? What does the data says? Why did these motherfuckers hate us? But the problem is that some people in the system, Uncle Sam, already know the answer to this question. That's why they don't want to investigate it publicly, because they know the answer to this question. The population over there, they don't like Uncle Sam because, well, they're oppressed, and the guy who's doing the oppressing is, pals with Uncle Sam. So these people living in the Arabian Peninsula, they are, none of them are happy because they're being oppressed. They're all kingdoms. They're all little dictatorships, and even and they were all recently created after World War II. Or World War I, the British went crazy and started building up countries, making countries on the map. But anyway, these are tribes. Their loyalties are very. Their loyalties is cheap to buy. And so what happened was the British took one family or one tribe, like in case of Saudi Arabia, and one family in case of Jordan, and even Syria. The Syrians, up to recently, the French were okay with Syrians. I'm not sure what happened. The French no longer love Syrians, or Uncle Sam doesn't like the French. I'm not sure what happened that now recently this has to come up. All the situation there in the Middle East. Why first of all, investigate 9/11. Find out criminally, do an investigation and find out these criminals, find out who their associates, or not just one leader. Fuck the leader. The leader was the fucking, who knew? Who cares? The leader basically, he paid for everybody to eat and fucking come up with a plan. But that's immaterial. The material fact is that a society has created these 15 guys. What's wrong in that society that is creating 15 guys who create 9/11, participate in 9/11, 15 of the 19? What kind of society produces this? And is that society an ally? Then how is the two don't match? This is what you see recently, that there was fucking some Saudi was shooting in military bases. They have come to the Uncle Sam's lab, and they're shooting at Uncle Sam. It was a terrorist act, and like, could you do an investigation? So what kind of society are the Saudis running that is creating this bullshit? This is a criminal investigation. This is a social investigation. This is an economical investigation. What was their economics, these 15 of the 19, what was their economics that they decided that, it's not worth living? What was the economics? That's what I'm trying to say. What was the poverty level? And here's here's the kicker. The kicker is, all during the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000, up to now, the Westerners think, that's pink skins, my pink skinned friends, NATO, they have been, how should I put this? Folks, it has to be investigated why Saudi Arabians feel this way towards Uncle Sam. Why they do such a thing, such an act. Why they feel that way. If Saudi Arabia is considered as an ally, which is said left, right and center, well, I love you, Uncle Sam. If it's an ally and it's poking you in the eye like this, then you have to investigate, see. I'm not saying not be friends with them, but find out what the fuck is going on. We cannot be friends with Saudi Arabia because Saudi Arabia is basically brought the dollar standard as reserve by accepting only dollars for its oil. That's how dollar became the welcomed everywhere, because everybody needed oil and dollars was the only thing Arabians would accept. The Arabian Peninsula would only accept dollars for its oil. So yes, that's a very important matter. I understand. Love you people, but yes, but it's creating, they have created an environment that has created, you see, the leaders in Saudi Arabia, the ones who are allies and supporting the dollar and backing us up and buying cruise ships. These guys are have created an environment in their own land that environment has created the 80% of the 9/11, folks. What kind of environment these people in charge over there are creating that 15 of the 19 become fed up with life? 15. Here is what the thing is. Beside being inhumane and obscene act of attacking civilians or attacking anybody, attacking fucking deer, just attacking other beings without a exactly well-defined purpose is stupid. It has to be a well-defined. Why are we going to rip Saddam's a second one, and why are we why Uncle Sam decided to go to, I love you, Uncle Sam. When I say we, I'm sorry, not, I said why are you, I'm sorry, I'm an alien. So why are you have decided to do such thing. I mean, here's the thing. Just finishing my thought from when I start. The thing is, all through the 60s and 70s and 80s and 90s in the Western world, in NATO land, was this idea was promoted that everybody in Saudi Arabia is rich. Everybody is rich. Anybody with coming from Arabian Peninsula, everybody from there is rich. And this falsehood was perpetuated throughout the society. So the Western, the average peasant in the land of the pinkskins, love you brothers. Average pinkskin thinks that these motherfucking Arabs are rich. Of that oil and these, it's like, it's not. But the reality is something different. And the reality is that if rich people don't, you know, commit suicide. The rich people that, you know, they don't. I mean, one has to be at the end of his string to commit suicide. Of that sort. Yes, cause is important, but you got to be, you know, very fed up. And very few people in this world are fed up like that. And these few people were created in Saudi Arabia. Now do a criminal investigation and find out why these people were created in Saudi Arabia and what is the poverty level in Saudi Arabia. The lie that was perpetuated was that everybody from Arabian Peninsula, anybody who comes with a white robe and a, you know, black thing around the head, these people are all rich. All people living in that Arabian Peninsula are all rich. No, that's a lie. 40% of the population of Saudi Arabia is around the poverty line, below the 40%. It's almost half of Saudi Arabia is below poverty line. That's drawn up by United Nations. So you have to investigate this. What the fuck? We were told that 40%, almost half, are below the poverty, and you have to think that, okay, how many percentages are they all rich, the rest of the 50%? And then you find out, no. Is it like 50% poverty, like 40%, 45% average, middle class, and then you have the 5% of the Saudi Arabian, you know, the Saud family owning everything. And what they own is, some of it is in Saudi Arabia. The rest of what they own is in, in pigskin land. So not only they're selling the oil, they're investing in like half of it in Saudi Arabia and half of it in the land of the pigskin, while 50% of their own population is in poverty. And this is okay for Uncle Sam. And I don't understand, Uncle Sam. Love you, man, love you. But I don't understand why you're okay with when there is a system that says, okay, let's distribute wealth a little more evenly, so maybe some people don't have to sleep on the streets. That's socialism. That's bad. And then, but why? Why is any kind of humanity is a bad thing? Any kind of, let's have some insane asylums. Let's have some, instead of, I don't know, maybe instead of, $150,000 Javelin missile, we can have a, $150,000 building built to be used as insane asylum. I mean, I think we can build a nice large building at cost for $150,000. That, that's the building, and that would be the first start to have, things that a society need. Poor housing, insane asylums, children's care. and all these things that Mr. Biden is asking for. These are realities that the society needs, and you don't have to spend the $150,000 on Javelin missile. It would do a lot much better in this planet for Homo sapiens if you have one more clinic, a hospital, a clinic, just a room for people to just go in and have their problems checked, which like 40% of the population of children of Uncle Sam don't have regular access to healthcare. 40% of the population, the children of uncles, 40% of the children of Uncle Sam, population of Uncle Sam, don't have regular access to healthcare. Like 70% don't have regular access to dental care. And you're thinking to yourself as a society, love you, man. As a society, the added value that this human productivity has created, this added value is being spent on $150,000 Javelin missile to blow up a couple of goats on top of the mountains in central Afghanistan. Goats, two-legged goats, four-legged goats. Target practice costs money. Bringing order costs money. Bringing order in this way, here's the thing, my brothers and sisters, Uncle Sam. A police officer in Afghanistan costs maybe $3 a day. A US soldier in Afghanistan probably costs around $300 a day. Boots on the ground is $300 a day. A police in Afghanistan, $3 a day. If you do the math, you can hire 100 policemen in Afghanistan for every one US boot on the ground. So do you think it's because cost of living is lower over there? This guy is coming in with equipments and procedures and code and this and that and up to the date in technology, which is very expensive. This guy is coming in like this. That's $300 a day, including his own salary. But then you have Shmuel here. You can pay $3 a day to be a police officer. $3. You hire 100 Shmuels, and you have 100 police officers. What you see what for $300 a day? That you can pay their president $300 a day, and that would be fine. You see, the math doesn't. Even the Taliban, you pay them $3 a day, they take your orders. It's just, but the pay has to be continuous. They have to, be they become dependent on it. You want that, they're going to have an order that you like because they're getting paid by you. But if that's the way, then just pay them. It's much cheaper. It's much cheaper to, pay Afghans to keep the order. There's president $300 a day and police officer $3 a day. Keep the fucking order. That's much cheaper. If you do the math, how many soldiers and how many boots on the ground is needed to keep the order in this shithole? Oh fuck! And doing target practice, that's just my pink-skinned friends. You're very aggressive and paranoid. So if as it seems, the British have, you can, this is as an alien you look at it, you might look at it like this, that the British have sneakily goated, is that the word they use, goated Uncle Sam into retaking back the old empire. Wherever the British have lost control, in Afghanistan they had lost control, the Russians were coming in, but no, we have none of that, Russians out. And for a while it was, as Afghanistan, unless you pay them to keep order, Afghanistan will never, you can never keep order in Afghanistan. Let's be frank, you cannot. It's five or six tribes that each, live on a particular mountains ranges in Afghanistan, southern mountain range and western mountain range. It's a collection of mountains. Unless you pay them to keep order, they're going to have their inner squabbles. They're very, mountain people are very conservative, become very conservative, because whoever is a little liberal thinking and is born on top of a mountain, if they are liberal thinking, a little smarter than average, they leave the mountain. They go to the valley, where there are more people, concentrated, because there are more options available for, life. But, passing of time. So people who stay on top of mountains are generally very conservative, extremely conservative. These are the stupid ones. The smart ones leave, the stupid ones stay, and you have a population on top of a mountain, but it's not very smart and very conservative. Well, you have to be in secluded societies. You have to be very conservative, or the wheels of the society will not rotate. And the same thing is true about deserts. People live in deserts. It's geography. The smart ones are going to leave because they don't want to, live in a desert. When they find out there is, something called greenery and water, you don't want to, look at another desert. So the point is this, Uncle Sam, love you, man. First of all, it still should be a criminal investigation and find out, even after all this. There shouldn't have been a military intervention. It should have been a criminal investigation, find out the roots of what kind of society produces such men. And what was their object? Why was destruction into this degree? Why was such a vulgar act committed? Why this vulgar act was performed? Why? Get to the roots of it. Get to the roots of it. Is it because they're being oppressed by people that we support, that Uncle Sam supports? Is it? Are they? Well, if they are, if the Saud family are really oppressing their own people, and they get away with it because they're allies, then you find out that, well, they were trying, it seemed nobody was listening to them, that they're being oppressed, and their leaders are oppressing. And then they did such an act. You don't see any Iranians doing such an act, because Iranians love Americans. We Iranians, we love Americans. As long as America dates Iran. Here's what the Iranians want. The Iranians want the relationship that Uncle Sam offers Sweden. If the relationship that Uncle Sam Sam offers Sweden and France is available, I'm sure the Iranians will take it without, take it. Option of being Sweden, Norway to Uncle Sam. But they don't want to be Saudi Arabia, they don't want to be Jordan, they don't want to be, they don't. You see what I'm saying? Because Uncle Sam dates Europeans, on a date. Go, we sit down and we have dinner. And usually, if they make love, they make love. If not, nothing. But the Arabs are, they're not dating Uncle Sam. They're anyway. It's not a date. The relationship that Uncle Sam has with the Arabs is not a date. That's why, they're not all allies. Norway and Sweden are allies because we are dating. But Saudi Arabia is an asset. That's the woman that's the pussy you hit whenever you want. That's an asset. But the relationship with Sweden has to be as allies. No, you can't have your way with, like Trump came in and said we want Greenland, and Netherlands said no, you can't have it. Bad boy. But the point is this. I mean, that's why Uncle Sam keeps some kind of relationship status remain as dating, and probably the Democrats would have, although everybody wished for it, but the Democrats would have not brought it up. But Trump brought it up, although everybody was thinking, and I'm sure Uncle Sam loves to have Greenland. It's coming out of ice, so must be a lot of good stuff down there. The ice is melting. So the point is this. It shows Uncle Sam and Netherlands are or whoever owns the relationship. Tells them I want this, and Netherlands says no, and Uncle Sam's going to go, okay, but then Uncle Sam goes in and takes over Iraq, sort of like. You ask here and they say no, you back off. Over there you just go in and so this is what I'm saying. The Iranians want a relationship, want to date Uncle Sam. This is my perspective. This is my personal perspective on the matter, that I feel the Iranians don't feel they're getting enough respect and rights from Uncle Sam. Just the fact that Uncle Sam is saying, okay, you cannot have access to this kind of technology and that kind of technology and the other kind of technology, while Uncle Sam doesn't mind what the fuck is going on in Sweden. They always got the top of the technology. I mean, 5G, one of the 5G apparently had one Chinese supplier and one European supplier, and basically Uncle Sam said, okay, let's buy from the European supplier. I think it was Ericsson. It's sort of like that's the point. That's the point. That it's a date. When Sweden goes out with Uncle Sam, it's a date. When Norway goes out with Uncle Sam, it's a date. When the French and the Germans and everybody in Europe, as long as they're pink skinned, when they go out with Uncle Sam, it's a date. But then they're given rights, and the same thing, the kind of rights that you give to somebody you're dating, the right to self-respect, and the right to be respected, and the right to be treated fairly. And but Then Uncle Sam says, no, no, no. This kind of, I only date white girls. Europeans. I only date Europeans. The rest of you motherfucker, pull down your panties. Sort of like, I'm not dating you motherfuckers. I only date these guys. And this is the foreign policy, Mr. Blinken, or whoever. This is the foreign policy. You guys, have special relationship with other pink skins. And you enjoy each other's company. Okay, fine. But dude, I mean, you can't, treat these guys with all respect and rights and honor. And those guys just like, fuck you. That is what is bothering them. And you find that a lot of these countries like Venezuela, these countries that have kept some kind of fucking identity for themselves, Venezuela and their guy that they worship over there, and the Iranians have their own guy that they worship over there, and these countries that used to have had a long history, they are set in their ways, hard set in their ways. And because of the long history, here's the thing, Uncle Sam, love you, man. Your history is 250 years. So you don't have any baggage. You have very little baggage. You're making a mountain out of the molehill, but there is only little. You have 250 years of baggage. Civil war happened, and then independence war and civil war and revolution. That's it. Couple of wars, but the rest of it was self-created. It's like all these wars overseas was basically self-created. But it didn't have to be created. It was out of aggression and paranoia, which they admit right now. They admit that yes, we got a little paranoid over there over the communism situation. We got a little paranoid. We went overboard, with the blacklisting of anybody who attended a couple of meetings, and McCarthy and this and that. Oh yeah, now they admit yes, we went a little overboard. But in general, I don't know. It was a form of economy. It was a form of economy, and the answer to a group of people on this planet trying a different form of economy, the answer to that is, I hope you fail. You will fail. Because that's bad. If it fails, it fails. Why do you have to make an enemy out of it? This is again what I didn't understand about the Cold War. Why this, the whole idea of, no, it has to fail. Communism has to fail. It's a bad thing. Okay, bad thing. But if it has to fail, if it fails, if treated normally, and if it fails, then it has failed on its own. But you have to treat it normally. But it seems, Uncle Sam, wherever you love you, man, wherever you find any sort of people who want to, be a little independent, have a relationship, a good relationship with you, Uncle Sam, you don't accept that unless they're pink skinned. Yes, I understand the majority of you folks in Uncle Sam's land are still pink skins. I understand that. But folks, you gotta get off it. We are all the same, seriously. We are a little more, some smarter, some dumber, some intelligence is just not all cognitive. The people with cognitive intelligence have to understand that people with physical intelligence and people with only emotional intelligence also have the right to live. It just makes the world a little more interesting, when different people are available, it just makes the world a little more interesting. It's not all, you know, meat and potato every night. It's red people are interesting to know, brown people are interesting to know, black people are interesting to know, because it's just that's what makes life worth living. It's finding out variety, seeing variety. So just 9/11 happened. Let's go hunt some brown people, and it's sort of like, yes, they did a bad thing. Okay, let's go investigate, find out what was the reason behind what they did. Do a criminal investigation, do a cultural investigation, do an economical investigation, find out why Saudi Arabia has so many poor people living there who are basically giving up, saying, okay, let's go give Uncle Sam a black eye. Why? Because apparently, they're not economically the most important thing. For stupid people as these people were, I think the most plausible answer is they didn't have any economic prospects. The most plausible answer for me is that the Saudi Arabians, these who committed this act, did not see an economic prospects in their future. Good economic prospects. They weren't educated I guess they weren't educated for today's needs. I guess they were educated in Islamic studies, that you allow your ally to do such stupid thing as allow only Islamic studies. What the fuck? What are you going to do when you turn 20? You're going to what? Do what? If you allow these motherfuckers to do Islamic studies, allow your ally, Saudi Arabia, the whole Arabian Peninsula, you allow some of these motherfuckers to allow their educational system have only Islamic studies, what the fuck the guy is going to do when he turns 20? Become jihadi because he has no other fucking skill. It's sort of like, that's what I'm saying, that do a social investigation, do an economical investigation, and find out why these people had no economic prospects. Why? Well, because they didn't have any skills. Why didn't they have any skills? Well, because their education system allowed for people to, study one book for 18 years. The Quran, and whatever, 2 books, 3 books. But the main book, Quran. So what the fuck? So they're not coming up with today's skills. Skills that is going to make them, productive. To make something out of something to earn for food. Why is an ally's educational system is being so neglected? And going away. Going to nowhere. Producing jihadis. What the fuck? And these guys are allies. Why? Either correct themselves or don't be an ally. You can't have it both ways, Uncle Sam. I love you, man, but you can't have it both ways. You can't have such allies that, because then this happens. 9/11 happens. You have an ally which is neglecting education, allowing some members of this fucking society to study whatever they want, study one book for 20 years, and then become a jihadi, become a fuckhead. Why? Why is Saudi Arabia and that Arabian Peninsula allowing such shit from happening in the land that is under their order, under their control? Why is this happening? Why is Uncle Sam allowing an ally to not have an educational system or have such a backward educational system? This is what Uncle Sam needs to intervene in. So basically, I'm an alien. I don't understand these stuff, so I might be wrong. But I think the instead of going taking over Afghanistan and Iraq, so the British can get their old colonies back under their access, have so the British can have access and control over their old colonies. Instead of doing this, Uncle Sam, if he had done the investigation, I think Uncle Sam, if your managers, Uncle Sam, have done the investigation, they would have told you that we should intervene in the economic system and especially educational system of Saudi Arabia. We should not intervene in Afghanistan, we should not intervene in Iraq, we should intervene in the educational system of Saudi Arabia and tell them, all they have to hear is Uncle Sam wanting them to do something, they will do it. They are an asset after all. So Uncle Sam basically would have said, okay, the result of see the king of Saudis and say, motherfucker, the result of our investigation says your educational system is non-existent. You're producing shit. So stop this shit, invest in your educational system, maybe your people grow up to be, mechanics and, teachers and, scientists, invest in the fucking education instead of, do something with your educational system, Mr. King. Have a nice day. Do something about it. And I think it's like one meeting and some, 1,000th of what was spent on 2 wars could have been spent on education of Saudis, and you would hope that within a generation they no longer produce shit that comes and commits 9/11. Love you, Uncle Sam. Love you, man. I love you, Uncle Sam, and I love the FBI folks and love the CIA folks, but I don't understand why you cannot have a PhD as president. This is the most important thing. This is the most important thing. For democracy to succeed, you should set a limit at the level of intelligence that you want for your tribal leader. Judiciary has, the legislature has 1,000 involved. Judiciary has at least 9 involved. Executive is 1.5. And you're thinking, okay, if I don't think 1 or 1.5 is a good idea. I think maybe you should have 5 presidents. But that's way in the future. But 1.5 president, okay, but at least make that one a PhD with 25 years of teaching experience. Just one. This is the only thing that can, solve the situation. That intelligent people need to be in charge to understand that the answer to such a horrible act is not, helping the British regain control over their old empire, but the answer is to find out, ask Saudi Arabia to pull its act together, pull its head up his ass, and put an educational system together that doesn't produce such people who are in such desperate economical and psychological state that are willing to commit such a horrendous act. Love you, Uncle Sam.